or so.
I consider the PRs between like 30 and 50 the sort of up and coming you really should watch out for these players. Because I think in that region, all of those players have a good chance of at least taking a couple of sets, maybe even a couple of games against the top pros within that top 32 PR. Right? Because they've between 30 and 50 are players that have consistently top 32. And seeing how competitive Brawlhalla has gotten, that means you probably have beaten some pros to make it. So, both of these players have absolutely like made their name as really competitive, insane players that you should keep an eye out for.
The first few bits of this game so far slowly going a bit more favor into Djessir, and Jakeyy really just has to try and pick up the pieces of this early lead. So far doing it quite well. The chip damage is being very, very rewarding. And we do have a ledge guard Adair just barely able to save Jakeyy stocks, double exclamation marks, but Eclipse able to punish the D-Light weapon throw. Djessir's able to close the distance, try and find his way back into the upside of that ledge guard dancing around. Axe can be very, very good at denying landing space because you got all those nairs and D-Lights that can come out. But if your opponent does land, nothing that a good old D-Sig can't fix.
Yeah, and as Jakeyy lands back down on the platform, he was the one behind a slight bit, but finally, with that recovery, takes that stock off of Djessir, making this an even 2 stocks each. Djessir moving around the stage, trying to find a weapon, finally finds the axe, and is starting to do a slight bit of starting damage on this stock. Managing the catch to the end light, or side light to the nair, 3 nairs in a row! Insane play coming out from Djessir there, and honestly, man, this could go essentially either way, but Djessir is starting to look like he has a slight lead. He throws away the axe, picks up the lance, and he's looking for this kill.
Djessir just needs one stray side air or an end sig to close this out. Just a little over 2 minutes in. Djessir has actually been pretty consistent with these KOs. Meanwhile, Jakeyy now has quite some ground to come up from. We saw that earlier when the stocks were even. Jakeyy was just a few bits of chip damage away from keeping the game dead even, but now that end sig was finally able to land its mark, Djessir was in a much more comfortable lead, but Jakeyy also immediately kind of taking this back and putting maybe proving that Djessir has to play a little bit more defensive if they want to try and keep this lead. That could have been a huge clash. Jakeyy being so patient off stage, choosing not to use the recovery, and a ground pound is going to give Djessir the chase dodge to make it back and get a lance and have that ground pound close out the first game.
Big play coming out from Djessir, taking game 1 of that set over Jakeyy. Incredible job. He just needs to win 2 more to guarantee grand finals winner's side. What can Jakeyy do to make this back? We'll see. We'll have to see.
I mean, sticking on the same character is definitely going to make a bit of sense. Guitar's in a good spot, and Jakeyy, where it mattered most, was able to pick up some pretty decent chip damage and wasn't always too far behind. The game really kind of started to fall apart when Djessir capitalized very, very nicely on that one off-stage interaction. So Jakeyy has probably learned by now saying, like, okay, this man is a threat off stage. Gotta be a bit more careful of that. If I maybe, keep my feet on the floor, build up chip damage a little bit quicker, and maybe also go to a map that has an even longer floor so I've more space of the screen to actually stay grounded, maybe that might help me out just barely enough to tie up this set. Who knows?
Yeah, and as we go down to the second game, Jakeyy, with the sword in hand, is trying to do a good amount of damage onto Djessir. Let's see what Jakeyy can do to rebuke whatever happened last game and try and make this even. Get a move on. That's a really important thing for players to be able to do. Like, you'll have your bad moments. You need to learn how to move on and not let it affect your mental as much as it can. But Jakey's starting to do a really good job. Already brought Djessir down to the red and is looking to take the first stock of the game. But Djessir sticking to the wall, going down to 3 exclamation marks, but does manage to land back onto stage. Do you think that he was like counting the amount of jumps and was like perfectly thinking, okay, here's when I go on stage?
I mean, he definitely realized that, like, okay, you know, Jakeyy is not really putting as much pressure on me off stage. Jakeyy definitely learning from the first game to be a bit more careful off stage, maybe try and bait out an attack before you actually fully commit to something. And Djessir also took notice of that, realizing, okay, Jakeyy is actually going to give me a lot of respect and space off stage. So it might have not have just been counting, it might have just recognizing the game state at a very, very, small transfer error as Jakeyy lets the combos rip, but still in a pretty comfy lead, only just losing the first stock to a Djessir over a minute and a half in, and Djessir is actually in the situation that Jakeyy was in just a few minutes ago in that first game. So yeah, this map change along with just knowing how to approach your way around Djessir, much better compared to that last game. Jakeyy is making a very, very good case for themselves.
Incredible job coming out from Jakeyy with the full stock lead in game 2 of the set. I was talking about how you got to reset your mental. Jakey's doing an incredible job at that. He's coming straight back, making this completely even, and he just keeps going. What are these dodge reads?
My goodness gracious. Where was this the first game?
He hasn't touched his second stock, bro. He is white on his second stock. Djessir is red on his last.
This isn't even a count!
Bro!
That was 0 to 70 right there. Where was this during the first game? Oh my god.
Yikes! Wow, Jakeyy, you are just wild. That was just insane coming out from Jakeyy. They're bringing the set even 1-1. No character switches. They're both just resetting. They're both just getting back into it.
As we go right back down onto Demon Island, Djessir, I think, you know, Djessir is actually now in the exact same situation that Jakeyy just was at the ending of that first game, where it was pretty handedly, and it came down to just a few interactions that the opponent were able to capitalize on so nicely at the very tail end of the game, last stocks, that really, really sold the game out in their favor. Djessir flipping the script yet again, getting a pretty decent dodge read. Jakeyy just barely able to touch, but a weapon throw gonna make life just a little bit more difficult for him. Dare for the chase dodge, and also able to get a clash, but still able to come back. Both these players are doing so well off stage.
Oh, dude, these players are just insane. This is how you know both of these players, they've made it to winners finals because they're insane at this game. There's no excuses to be had here. Both of these players can pop off whenever they need to. Game 1, it was Djessir popping off with the Ulgrim, with that 2-stock, and then game 2, it was Jakeyy with the Katars, with the Asuri, just going absolutely wild onto Djessir. But now we're into game 3. Both of these players are fully warmed up, and you can see how close it is.
Jakeyy being a little bit more careful in their approach into this first stock, because one miss could mean that the lead is immediately extended. Djessir's got to be feeling really good after that.
Wow, that was insane coming out from Djessir, getting the gimp and already bringing Jakeyy down to his last stock. Oh man, Jakeyy finally getting that recovery KO onto Djessir to get rid of his first stock, but he needs to do a lot if he wants to bring this back. Can he make this back? Okay, maybe he can. Maybe he can. You know, you never count out Jakeyy in this moment right here. Oh, bro, this is what is this?
Oh,
what am I watching?
My God,
this is so winnable. Oh my god. Is that a 0 to death? I don't know if he got hit. I don't know if he didn't get hit.
Oh my god.
I don't think he got hit. Jakeyy immediately bringing this back to 1 stock even. Absolutely insane coming out from Jakeyy, making this even, and Djessir needs to figure out what to do and needs to figure it out fast before Jakeyy just keeps going with how much he's been putting the pressure onto Djessir. He's starting to do well, though. The Lance is getting a couple of hits. He is on red. The down air will do it. Incredible job from Djessir making that game 3, but wow, Jakeyy was bringing it close. Wow.
And there's actually one small thing I do want to bring to mind is that a lot of the times it's up to Jakeyy to find that landing space when the game takes a bit more airborne. He's always able to find his landing space back down because, like I said, sometimes trying to find your feet to touch the floor fighting against Axe can be very difficult because you got a bunch of D-lights, you got a bunch of nairs, and there's Axe has quite a few options to make it difficult for you to gain back in control and reset back to neutral. But so far, Jakeyy has actually been able to come back down from the sky pretty well, but sometimes doesn't get the best of these offstage interactions. Offstage, it's very flip of a coin. It's really once they're both off to the side of the stage, it's really anyone's game.
Wow. And that entire game, Djessir was on the Lance. The Lance has been doing work. The Lance has been working for Djessir, but we'll see. Jakeyy was bringing it incredibly close with the guitars. So maybe with that in hand, he'll be able to do well. But now both of these characters on the weapons that we didn't really talk about. The axe and the sword.
The secondaries of each character. A good thing to switch to, and maybe you're struggling to find a KO or build up a little bit of extra chip damage on the main weapon that the character is usually picked for. As you can see, evading quite a few more D-lights, not going to be able to avoid the end-sig weapon throw again. Djessir has been so good at that. You might see an axe, but I see a sniper because his aim with these weapon throws have been pretty on point so far. And right now, Jakeyy has proven in this set that they do not crack under pressure. They are able to bring a game back from the jaws of defeat, no matter how big the lead might be that Djessir is sending it. But Djessir is also speeding up the game to a much faster pace than we have actually seen him stay in control for, and could be taking Jakeyy down to last stock a minute and a half in, especially with how he's placing his dodges. Djessir is just so good.
Wild. He is just wild. And he's going absolutely crazy, taking that second stock off of Jakeyy with the ground pound. Now he has the axe in hand. I was talking about how his lance has been popping off. Apparently his axe does work too. Insane coming out from Djessir. The end light trying to go for the D light to catch Jakeyy in the air, but Jakeyy is doing all that he can to at least take Djessir off of his first stock. The D-Sig will do it with the guitars. He throws away, he starts the weapon starve, and what is he going to stick with? He's going to stick with the guitars, and Djessir still trying to find his way to land back onto the stage, and he picks up the lance. Now, I'm not good at this game. I'm not entirely sure how, like, the matchup between... Oh my god! Maybe it is Katars. Maybe... I was gonna say the matchup between Lance and Katars. I don't know which one wins. Yeah, yada yada yada. It doesn't matter. Jakeyy just pops off. Jakeyy just goes absolutely crazy with the Katars. Maybe that's a debate that chat can have later. But the side airs coming out from Djessir. He almost confirmed it, but Jakeyy managing to get that Hail Mary side air to make it back onto stage. Both of these players are down to their last stocks, and Djessir is slight bit in the lead, trying to find any sort of kill option here.
Djessir has been in control this entire game. Djessir would speed up the game, Jakeyy would not know how to respond. Djessir would slow down, Jakeyy tries to accelerate and build a bit of a lead, get some reversals, but Djessir is just punishing Jakey's approach. But now they're both being very, very careful with each other, especially Jakeyy, who's just trying to bait something out, has the end light aimed the wrong way, and N-Sig gonna let Djessir snag the stock away. Despite a few speed bumps, this man was in control the whole time. Sometimes he would speed up the game, Jakeyy would not know how to respond, or sometimes he would slow down and just punish Jakey's approach. Despite a few